Namaste and welcome to Pioneers of Storytelling, a show where in every episode I will bring to you an exclusive interview with an architect of storytelling. It's a known fact that our memory has an intrinsic limitation. From all the serials and movies that we have seen, only a few that have entertained us, inspired us, or have captured our interest or emotions stay glued to us. Frankly speaking, it's less about the content and more about the experience. If the experience has been worthy, the content and characterization will stay glued to us even after years. Today, I have with me the renowned producer-director who has in his kitty a bouquet of successful films and shows like ALIBABA और 40 चोर, एक जाने हम, आखरी अदालत, RAM-JAANE and ज़बान संभाल के to name just a few. Personally, I admire him the most for his comedy fantasy film Chamatkar and his highly acclaimed sitcom Office Office. And I know for sure both Chamatkar and Office Office would have brought you back sweet memories and a happy smile. So welcome again and let's together chat with Rajiv Mehra. Namaste and thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thanks for having me.
Your father, F.C. Mehra's journey into films is rich and fascinating and will require probably more than an episode. But for you, with your family already into films, was it because it was already set for you or you also had a keen interest since childhood?
Your question is partly true to the extent that, yes, I grew up in the family where films was the business. And initially, I wanted to do other things in life. We had a farmland. I wanted to be an agriculturist. I mean, these were all things in my early years. And then I got very interested in photography. So I did my course in photography and this and that. And I even wanted to go to FTII, but unfortunately that never happened. But then I joined up as an apprentice in our company as almost like an assistant in the camera department, and I worked with cameramen like S.M. Anwar, who shot Sholay, and Peter Pereira and people like that. And my brother Umesh, who was already a director by then. And so I requested to join him. Since the films he was directing were also part of Eagle Films, which is our family, which is my dad's company. So I didn't get categorized as an assistant director, though I worked very closely with him on all levels of his film projects. But as being from the production side, I also had to at the same time look at the production side of it. So though I was part of every story sitting and every music sitting and every meeting with the actors and things, I was also looking into how the sets were being constructed and what money was being spent and why it was being spent, all those things. So it was a great grounding for me.
आका, मैंने कहा था एक औरत तबाह करेगी इस कार को। जाओ अपनी आंखों से देख लो। जो साथी थे आज दुश्मन बन चुके। तबाही से पहले उन्हें रोक लो।
The first film that you produced, ALIBABA और 40 चोर, had an amazing star cast and was declared a blockbuster hit. And it was an Indo-Soviet production. So what exactly does that mean? Was it also dubbed in Russian? Or it was shot as an independent film with the same star cast?
No, it was not dubbed in Russian. It was shot in two negatives, actually. So as you said, there were common actors, which were Dharamji and Hemaji and Zeenat, who were in both the versions. And there were a lot of other Russian actors as well in that. Now, yes, our actors were dubbed by them in their version, and their actors were naturally dubbed. But on the set, it was quite funny because, say, Dharamji would be speaking his lines in Hindi and the answer would come in Russian. So it was quite a job to. It was great. But then they were all professionals and all actors, so it worked out. And since there were two directors, there was Latif Faizi from from the Uzbek film side, and there was Umesh from our side. So the sense, though they worked very well together, but the sensibility is still being different. So if you see the two films, on the editing table, they are quite different from each other, though they are saying the same story.
Did that film get the same response like the Indian one?
Oh, it did brilliantly in Russia. It did brilliantly in Russia. But it was a great experience for us, because the way those people work and the sets they put up, like the Khulja Simpson, that whole cave and everything, brilliantly done. And they were ahead of us in special effects, so to say. Because all this is a lot of special effects involved in. At that time, we're talking about 78, where we were not that good at special effects. We didn't have the infrastructure, the equipment. Peter Pereira was our cameraman, who was a special effects man in that sense. But we didn't have the infrastructure to put it together, and Russia had that kind of infrastructure. So it was a great collaboration.
ALIBABA, मुझे बचाओ।
Ek Jaan Hai Hum was your first film as a director, and you had launched Rajiv Kapoor as the hero.
It was my first film as a director. It was Rajiv Kapoor's first film as an actor. It was Divya Rana's first film as an actor. It was Anu Malik's almost first film as a music composer. We were all new and we were all enthusiastic, and that somewhere came across.
क्या जानो ये दिल चुराना तुम क्या जानो ये दिल लगाना तुमको हम सिखा देंगे दिल चुराना तुमको हम सिखा देंगे
So as a new director launching Raj Kapoor's son must have added a lot more responsibilities on your shoulder.
He came straight for the premiere. We didn't even see a preview of the film. He came straight for the premiere. It was at Minerva, which was our cinema house. And that's where the premiere was. And actually, I was so nervous that Raj Sahab is going to be watching the film. Mm-hmm. But it all went pretty well. Of course, then Chimpu, Rajiv Kapoor being from the background he is, though he never gave anybody the impression as to who or what he was, or he was full of enthusiasm, and it was really fun. When I went and met him to sign him up, he was actually ill with, I think it was he had jaundice, or he was recovering from it. And I had gone to his house and he was in his bed, and I narrated it to him in his bed, and he was all excited, and it was great fun working.
Is it true that Rajiv Kapoor was mistaken as Shammi Kapoor's son? Or was it just a promotional gimmick because you had promoted your film as Yahoo Days Are Back?
Not really. We promoted it not as a Yahoo. Yeah, maybe there was a line, Yahoo Days Are Back Again, because of the kind of music we had, the kind of, exuberance this guy had about him. He had the same similarity in style, and even if you see his Shammi Uncle's earlier films and you see how his face was, and even Rajiv when he was younger, the similarity of, of course, they're Chacha Bhatija, so there can be a similarity. And there was a great similarity. And he did, like how Shammi Uncle, how he used to catch every beat in dancing, how Shammi Kapoor used to be, he wouldn't lose a beat in a song or in the music. So also this guy, he had that ear and he had that thing in his body which would catch every beat. So it was like watching a younger Shammi Uncle every time he was doing a song, or and the mannerisms and all that came very naturally to him. I don't think he was aping or trying to copy. But then people did compare that he's trying to be Shammi Kapoor. But that wasn't really intentional. And even if it was his uncle, or it wasn't somebody who he's copying from outside. He's from the same gene.
You had recently mentioned to me that you have great memories of Rajiv Kapoor as a colleague and a friend. So what is it that you treasure the most about him?
He's no more with us, but we all grew up in that sense together, being from film families and being fairly close as families. We used to, parties at their house or parties at our house or Diwalis or things like that. We all grew up together. So we have all those memories of birthdays together and, when we were kids. And of course, then later during making of the film, the times we had together when we were shooting like in Andamans, and it was really great fun. Rajiv Kapoor, his style of acting, I mean, you could make him do comedy, you can make him do emotional, you can make him mimic, he was just an all-around performer, and he was a great dancer, no inhibitions. He also was a creatively very alive person, Chintu. So every time there was a music sitting or a song rehearsal, he was there with, and his inputs would also come in. It was like really great fun.
I think every song of that film had also become very popular.
Oh, Aasmaan Pe Likh Doon was very popular. Then Dil Dil Hai Koi Shisha To Nahi. Then Bolo Kuch To Bolo. Then Yaad Teri Aayegi to was a classic.
याद तेरी आएगी मुझको बड़ा सताएगी जिद ये झूठी तेरी मेरी जान लेके जाएगी याद तेरी आएगी मुझको बड़ा सताएगी.
I still remember the same office where I'm sitting in today. This is my dad's office since 1953. So when I had started, was about to start Ek Jaane Hum Aane, when we were working on the story and things like that, Anu Malik used to drop into the office and, he would just be sitting across and he would start humming a tune and he would start singing something, and it used to be embarrassing because all the other staff is sitting around. You went to the loo, he would follow you there and he would be singing the song. And he made sure that he became part of the film. Because, I mean, for me it was a very, in that sense, if I would have had a R.D. Burman or a Lakshmikant Pyarelal, things would have been, I think, easier for me in that sense. But I wouldn't have got what I got from Anu because he wanted to prove himself. I mean, I still remember he will come into the and start singing Aasmaan Pe Likh Doon. This Mukhra was also his. Aasmaan Pe Likh Doon Naam Tera. Is Zameen Pe Likh Doon Naam Tera. This was his Mukhra. So, that was the kind of enthusiasm we all had.
Out of all the films that you have produced or directed, the one that I like the most is Chamatkar, a delightful fantasy comedy with lovable characters played by the best of actors. So what is the story behind the making of Chamatkar?
Actually, Chamatkar, it was very strange. First film, as you know, I did Ek Jaane Hum. After that, I did a film called Pyar Ke Do Pal, which was completely a social drama, family, that kind of a story. And then I said I have to do something different, and I did an out and out action film like Aakhri Adaalat. And once I'd done that, then I said, now let's look for something new. And I'd never done a comedy in that sense. So there was this writer who used to work with me, Shaukat Beg. His name was, he had never done a film before. He used to, like R.K. Lakshman's caricatures used to come in Times of India. His used to come in evening news, Beg's View. So there were these one-liners with what is happening in the city. And he came with this idea of this ghost. Okay, let's do a film with a ghost. And then we developed this. He came up with this story, and then we worked for months and months on the screenplay of this film. It took us really. So he and me wrote the screenplay together, and Lilliput, if you know Lilliput, the actor, he got involved with the dialogues. So the dialogues were Lilliput. So three of us sat and we made the script, and casting was a real issue with this film because the role which eventually Nasir played was like the main role, but the hero was this younger boy. So if you went to any known actor to play the role which SHAHRUKH did, he said, but that role is, the author back role, which is true, because this is only the role where he's receiving all the nonsense from the ghost. Tak din din, tak din din din.
chumlay chin chin. Tak din din din, chumlay chin chin. बोतल से बाहर आ गया जिन, आए हैं सबके अच्छे दिन.
Is it true that Govinda was to play the lead role?
Govinda heard the story, he liked the story, he came over to my place after that, but he was a bit skeptical because he knew the role of Marco, which was played by Asil, is the role. He is going to be at the receiving end. It's not an easy to play the role which Shahrukh played is much more difficult than the role which Naseer played. Naseer was an orthoback role. I mean, he's a ghost. He can do anything and get away with it. It is the reactions of the other character, of the guy who can see him, the only one who can see him, is what is going to make it believable and make it work. And it is a very difficult thing to do. That is a challenge for an actor. So, and you can be at the losing end of that very easily. So I think that was somewhere the reason. Otherwise, Govinda would have done a brilliant job. He's a great actor. But I think he felt somewhere that he has to work 10 times harder than the other person to whereas Shahrukh was up for the challenge for that.
And what was the reason behind choosing Shah Rukh Khan, who was back then a newcomer with no great looks and no released films in his kitty?
Shahrukh, of course, after one saw him on television in 4G and Circus, and then he landed up in Bombay, and Vivek worked with me, Vivek Vaswani. So he brought him to the office, to my office, and I saw the guy, and completely unkempt guy at that time. Shahrukh used to, not look at his looks at all. But again, you could make out that there's some fire in this guy, and being such a young guy at that time, you knew what he definitely knew what he wanted to be, and he passed that kind of confidence on to the other. How capable he was, he knew.
जवानी दीवानी थोड़ी आगे है थोड़ा सा पानी जवानी दीवानी थोड़ी आगे है थोड़ा सा पानी.
Your film RAM-JAANE was also a great film. So what is the first thing that comes in your mind when you think of RAM-JAANE?
I was at home and I was watching television, and there was a documentary going on TV on Africa. And this young 4 or 5-year-old boy was being interviewed by some BBC journalist or something. And the journalist asked this small kid, what is your name? So he says, God knows. So he said, what do you mean God knows? He says, my name is God knows. Nobody knows my name. My name is God knows. Only God knows my name. And that struck the chord for me. This is the character I want who will be in this film, and he'll be RAM-JAANE. So also the character is an orphan, brought up on the streets, and he stays in this basti kind of place where he does whatever, chori chakari, small these things. And there's one priest, and the priest is fond of this kid, and this kid asks the priest, but Baba, who am I? What is my name? And he looks up and says, RAM-JAANE. He says, yeah, I am RAM-JAANE. And he keeps his name RAM-JAANE. So this for me was a very, very poignant part of the film.
Your film Aakhri Adaalat was also declared a hit, right? Any off-screen story that still brings a smile on your face?
When we were writing the script for Aakhri Adaalat, of course we needed two big, it was a 2-hero film. And we needed a star in that sense. 2 stars. And strangely enough, Vinod Khanna, he had just returned from his Rajneesh thing. He returned in 85 or 86. He had gone, he had left everything and gone. And he came back and he was a brand new person in that sense. But he was the star who was supposed to have been, if not as bigger than Amitabh Bachchan when they were both working together. And since Vinodji had worked with my dad's films earlier and this and that, when he came back, he was over at our house and this and that, and I was really lucky that he came back when he did, and I was planning Aakhri Adaalat at that time, and he agreed to do it. But he was in some kind of a shell, because he had left everything and gone, and now again left that and come back. So he was so sober and so nice and so everything, and it took him a while to open up. But once he got back into his own, then he was back as Vinod Khanna, the star. I mean, he was just charismatic actor.
Films. But from all the films, can you recollect any scene that was challenging and accomplishing that had given you a sense of satisfaction?
In fact, in RAM-JAANE, there were very many scenes which were very challenging to put together, and especially in the latter half of the film, where the film becomes a little more serious, where the character of SHAHRUKH is now going wildly wrong. And then, especially the scene where he was going to be hanged, where he's hung in there. Though his body language doesn't give away that he is scared, but you can see his figure and this and that, where you can feel he's scared, though he's trying to be macho about it and say khalas for everything. But so those were good stuff to be part of in terms of narration or storytelling.
छोड़ना छोड़ना मेरे को चलो छोड़ रहे मेरे को छोड़ रहे मेरे को छोड़ रहे.
Amongst all the stars that I have interviewed during my Channel V and Star Days, I found JAYA PRADHA the most good-looking and a very humble person. And she's played a very nice role in one of your films.
It was just an honor and a pleasure to work with her. She was such a talented personality, such a talented person, and such a humble and sweet lady. It was really a dream working with her. So easy to work with, and she was so beautiful. And the way she, from a lover's character into a mother's character, into the hardships, she was just a natural act. I mean, she was just superlative. I used to be floored by the way she used to do her performances. And such a big star from the South, and done huge films, but they kept you, the director, on a pedestal kind of thing. Matlab, without sir, she won't address you, and you feel so stupid that she's calling you sir, and who she is. They're so humble and very, very nice. Very nice.
Even Juhi Chawla is a very spontaneous actress.
Juhi, though, she's a buddy. I don't know how I forgot talking about her. She's a friend of mine. So again, she did the film and she knew she's doing the film, but she used to keep saying, "What am I doing in the film? It's Shahrukh's film." But I'm doing it because she loved the story and she loved the whole this thing. But she was again a very, 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 very fine actress and great person. She's so bubbly, and the set is a happier place when people like that are around, because they're lively and they're great fun.
ये बंदरिया तो सुंदरिया बन गई.
अगर मैं बंदरिया हूँ, तो तू कौन है?
बंदर.
Your sitcom Office Office is a class apart. It has won awards, a sequel followed, and then you launched a comic series based on that show.
No.
It's on somewhere. It's written.
Well, I think Office was a lot of credit to, according to me, three things go into making a good comedy, without which, first of all, of course, is the script and the dialogue, which was Ashwini Dheer, brilliant writer, Kanpur boy, with the sensibilities from mainland India, not our Bombaya, not our sensibilities, the sensibilities of the actual common man. So script, then actor or actors, and then to keep both those things in place, the director. So I would put the director last in that, really. So that, I think, we struck a great balance. And of course, Pankaj is such a fine actor. It's a dream to work with. He's just a very fine actor. He can do any damn role without. And luckily enough, we managed to cast it very well. All the other 5 characters fit the bill so perfectly. And those were the guys who were playing the same Shukla ji and Bhatia ji and Usha ji and Patel and Pandey were the 5 corrupt buggers from the system. And he was the common man. And those 5 casting again was a dream casting. I mean, it just fell into place. Never knew Manoj Pava before, never knew Sanjay Mishra before, never knew Hemant Pandey, never knew Asavari. And yes, I knew Devan, but not really well. I knew Devan had been around. But these 4, neither had one worked with them, neither had one seen their work.
अरे ये आदमी गवाही दे ही नहीं सकता कि आप जिंदा है। मगर क्यों? अरे क्योंकि इन्हें खुद मरे हुए 8 महीने हो गए।
क्या? मैं तो जिंदा हूँ। बोलो मुझसे आज मैं जिंदा हूँ कि नहीं?
मैं क्या बोलूँ कृपा शंकर जी, पहले अपने आप को तो जिंदा कर लूँ।
एक मिनट मास्टर जी, डोंट वरी। आप एक काम कीजिए, आप जिस दिन एक्सपायर हुए थे ना, मतलब फाइल में उसके अगले दिन का बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट बनवा लीजिए और साथ में एफिडेविट जोड़ दीजिए आपके जिंदा होने का, बस काम हो जाएगा।
It was a dream working, believe it or not. We used to shoot a 3-camera setup. So it was like doing one scene in one shot. And so we had to rehearse that whole scene. So it was Pankaj and these 5. In most of the scenes, these were the characters. And the rehearsing of that scene on shoot. Before I would set up my shot and come out, and these guys would be doing the lines, and then we would finalize the lines. But they were like, how you go in school and how, you're so involved, and so they would get their lines packed and their mannerism. There was no improvising on set. Whatever improvisation or each change has to happen when we are doing the lines outside before we come onto the set. Because it's a 3-camera shoot. If somebody does something which is not worked out, will not be caught. Because the camera will not be on him, it will be on the... So it was great fun, and we used to do the scene pat, go into this thing, work out the movements, go, shoot. The shoot of the scene would take 10 minutes. The prep for the scene would take an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. But we used to start shooting a 9 o'clock shift. We would start shooting at 11. And at 7 o'clock, our episode was complete, finished, go home. It was fantastic because these guys were just like magic, and they fit the character. The lines were so beautifully written. There was not much scope to, कि यार ये गलत है, इसको ठीक कैसे करें. It all was really worked out fine. Because from 2000 till 2005, the show won Best Comedy or Best Show, Best Director, Best Actor, 5 years in a row. And of course, Best Writer, all 5 years in a row. Ashwini got for all the years, Pankaj got for all the years, I got for all the years, and the show got for all the years. So it was just the collective effort. I mean, they didn't have more Best Actor awards, otherwise the others were also all in line to have them. They should have also been.
So was it the success of Office Office that got you to conceive and direct the film Chala Mussaddi Office Office?
Maybe. maybe we all thought that it was time to say this story as a story on the big screen.
It was a very sweet film with great acting and direction, but somehow it didn't do well. So what do you think could have been the reason?
I was happy with the film. The film didn't do well. The film didn't work. The film didn't do well. People thought that they'd seen it before. In the sense that they'd seen so much of it for so many episodes, 200 and odd episodes and whatever. So the novelty which we thought was there was actually not there for the
Audience.
film-going audience. So I think it was, though the film was not bad. The film was good fun. It worked. It conveyed its message, and it spoke about the common man and the system. So all that was there, but it didn't sell tickets.
आशीर्वाद दीजिए मास्टर जी, आशीर्वाद दीजिए। आपके पैर कहाँ हैं?
जी ये तो मेरे पैर है जी।
मास्टर जी आप नहीं लाए क्या?
मैं नहीं लाया क्या? नहीं मतलब पैर तो लाया हूँ मैं।
So what's next for Rajiv Mehra? More smiles or any big film in the pipeline?
I have actually, somewhere tried to take a backseat now, in the sense that I may not direct, because I really applaud the work of the new generation who's come in. The way they think, the way they shoot their movies, the way they tell their stories is quite different from how I think, and I really enjoy the way they do it. And I see that the audience also does enjoy it. So I do not want to try and compete with that kind of thing. Yes, I can probably produce a film and make the script, but I will not probably direct that film. I will be on the creative side, of course. So as of now, at the moment, we are working on a it's a political drama. It's like a series. We're still working on it. It's shaping up very, very well.
It was great chatting with you. And once again, thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you very much.